back. Obviously, I'm not head of IT, don't judge me. So, but your memory is the theme in the trunk. That's where the question is leading you to. The branches are your comments. Now, the comments are either about one poem or the other. So, Cost of War, you have the death of the son or what he's done. You also have, obviously, the violence of war. You also have the long-term effects. Now, you've also got very much individual costs of war. Which is different to the cost of war because that is in one poem very personal, in the other poem very individual to the mother. So what I would say is in this poem is this comment is more to do with you can compare the differences, and in that poem you can compare the similarities, and there's two different types of cost. You've then also got the little details. The details of the cat hair in Poppies, and then Remains the details of the event that he talks about. Alright, I'm not going to put that one in because I don't want this video to be too long. And also I think my son's waiting to come in the kitchen, so I need to be quick. Right. And then the leaves are what grow out of the comments. I like the worst leaf ever. Oh my god, it's like two different trees cloned. Right. So, cost of war. Obviously my writing is not very good. So Poppies. We have Armistice Sunday. In Remains, we have PTSD. That's the cost of war. Violence of war. You have in Poppies the red crimped petals of the poppy, and in Remains you have the insides. And then what you've got is you're building it the right way, because I think what we've done, because we do a lot of work going through poems individually, you're focusing on this poem does all these techniques, this poem does all these techniques, and then you're trying to meld them together, whereas actually it's like starting with a pile of leaves in the garden and trying to reconstruct a tree. You're missing the important bit. The trunk is what holding it together, the branches are where your comments are coming from, the green is the evidence. And there's a lot of evidence heavy answers from you, which are good, and you know what you're talking about, but because you're not basing it, and because you're going backwards, you're not really getting to the trunk of it. Really. Alright, if you're going to be really, really smart, the roots down here are the context. So the contextual issues, and they would be literary, political, historical, social. And what you have here is the things that's feeding the poetry. They might not be obvious, they might not be evident by being within the poem, but what you do get are things like It Remains as a confessional poem. It sounds very much like somebody talking to somebody else. That is very much a 20th century idea born out of psychology and Freud and the change to that sort of thing. You then also got in Remains, it's very much the personal, intimate style of poetry of the 20th century that moves away from like the abstract things you've seen in like Miller, in like Shakespeare and stuff, where it's all very much measuring stuff to the stars and sort of being really grand and like in big metaphors. It actually becomes very personal, intimate. That's very 20th century style of poetry. It was there before, but now it is absolutely dominant. You also have, in terms of war poetry, very much a direct reaction to the charge of a light brigade, where it was all about heroism, and war poetry was meant to be almost like that Greek ideal of you're celebrating war and battle and it was honourable, to the World War I poetry that changed it to be almost like a record of their experience, and now you've got almost a record of the effects. Right, I hope that's a little bit clearer. I've no idea what the quality is going to be like and whether it's a work or whether it's whatever. I don't know. Let me know. Obviously, you can take the mic and stuff. That'd be really useful and constructive. I know it's daft. I know it looks silly, but I'll try and develop this as I get better. I'll try and improve my teaching rig at home if I can. Obviously, I'll replace this horrific tablecloth from the kitchen and maybe set something up in spare room if you don't mind the sound of a hamster going around his wheel. But I hope you're doing well and you're coping. But try and I'll zoom in on that. So take care. I hope this is useful.